What date is it today? The 27th of October. Yes, the 27th of October. So, some days ago you wrote control work for the first quarter in your class, and most of your results were not very bad. And now we have only 2 lessons till the end of this quarter. And now let's begin from your home task for the next lesson. Please write down English Plus 1 workbook, page 19, exercises 1 to 5, and exercises in your class. And please don't forget about your exercises in your class. So let's continue. Now, last time we talked about description of places. Do you remember this, Yasim? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, Bermet. And now, the topic of our lesson is comparative adjectives. And by the end of the lesson, you will be able to compare two people, places, and different objects. And now let's see, when do we use comparative adjectives? Here you can see the table with comparative adjectives. And we use the comparative to compare two people, places, or things. Example, if we have short adjective, we add er. Old, older, young, younger. And if there is consonant, vowel, consonant, we add er. And the final consonant is doubled. Example, big, bigger, hot, hotter. And in short adjectives, we add y and y changes into I. Example, easier, easier, heavy, heavier. So next, when do we use long adjectives? We use more plus long adjective. Example, exciting, more exciting. Next, beautiful, more beautiful. And we have some irregular adjectives. And these adjectives you have to memorize. Such adjectives as good, better, bad, was, far, farther, little, less, much, many, more. Please memorize these adjectives, irregular adjectives. So next, we use then after the comparative form of the adjective. Example, John is taller than Mary. A Ferrari is more expensive than a Fiat. And now, please give me your own examples of comparative adjectives. Example, big, bigger, old, older, tall, taller. Please type your examples. So, students, be active. Give me your own examples with comparative adjectives. I die. My dad is older than my mom. Okay, good. Next. So, I die. Give me more examples. You can type just the words, just adjectives, not the whole sentence. So, please be quick. I'm taller than my little brother. Okay, I die. Good, you're right. And now, let's go further. Now, let's watch one video about two cities. And after that, you will answer some questions. So, now you will watch and you have to make some notes. Now let's watch.
London and Paris, two of the largest, the most important, most famous, most powerful cities in the world. I mean, they both really are kind of a big deal. London is both the capital and largest city of England and the entire United Kingdom. Paris is both the capital and largest city of France. Both cities not only dominate the culture of their countries, but dominate the culture of the entire continent of Europe, or even the world, man. In terms of metropolitan areas, London is bigger. The London commuter belt has just over 14 million people, while the Paris metropolitan area has over 12.5 million people. So London is basically around 21% of the UK's population, and Paris is basically around 19% of France's population. The two cities are just 284 miles, or 457 kilometers, apart, and there are probably more options than you realize for ways to go back and forth between the two. You can fly, you can take a train and ferry across, you can drive all the way. Wait. Huh? Drive? Well, kind of, thanks to the Channel, an underground tunnel underneath the English Channel. Channel plus tunnel equals channel. What you really do with your car, though, is drive it onto a train, which then carries you through the Channel. The quickest way to get between Paris and London is a train that goes straight through the Channel. The journey only takes 2.5 hours. Both are two of the most visited cities in the world. After Bangkok, Thailand, London is the second most visited city in the world, and Paris is the third most visited city in the world. Both have horrendous traffic, although it doesn't seem to be as bad in London. But yeah, try not to drive if you go to either one. Both are two of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. However, the cost of living is lower in London compared to Paris. And yeah, both are among the wealthiest cities in the world. In terms of GDP, London is ranked 5th and Paris is 6th. Both are financial capitals of the world, although London is, more. The main industries of both are the service industries, especially the professional services in London and commerce in Paris. Both have lots of universities, but London arguably has the highest concentration of prestigious universities in the world. Both have a bike sharing system. Both have hosted the Olympics, Paris twice and London thrice. Both have a ridiculous amount of landmarks and tourist attractions. A few attractions of London include the Houses of Parliament, St. Paul's Cathedral, the Tower Bridge, the Tower of London, Hyde Park, Buckingham Palace, and the London Eye. Sorry, the Coca-Cola London Eye. I forgot that Coca-Cola was taking over the world. London Bridge is actually really ugly and small. Big Ben is the bell, not the clock, and it's currently being renovated. And according to my wife, Leicester Square is, quote, the most London-y part of London. A few attractions of Paris include the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre Museum, Moulin Rouge, Notre Dame, the Arc de Triomphe, the Unknown Soldier in Eternal Flame, Pont des Soleils, Les Marais, and Champs-Élysées. London does have more museums than Paris. Both aren't that far from major bodies of water, although London is closer, right there near the North Sea. Paris, not too far from that English Channel I mentioned earlier. Related to this, both have temperate oceanic climates. While both have 4 seasons, the temperatures don't fluctuate too much. Paris gets a tad bit colder in the winter and a tad bit warmer in the summer. This may surprise you, but Paris actually gets more rain than London overall. London has more of the lightly spitting on you type of rain and maybe seems gloomier with less sunny days and more fog. They speak English in London and French in Paris. Actually, a lot of Paris residents do speak English. They often just pretend like they don't understand you speaking in English. London often jokingly gets called France's 6th biggest city due to having such a large French population. In fact, more French folks live in London than in Bordeaux. Paris is more densely populated than London. In the city proper, over 73% more dense. London residents are younger than Paris residents on average. London is growing at a bit faster rate than Paris. London is more multicultural and diverse. More than 18% of of Paris residents were born in another country, which is a lot less than London. Watching videos like this from a couple years ago and reading stories like this, you'd think that Paris is being overrun with immigrants. But apparently those stories are exaggerated. Yes, an increased number of migrants seeking asylum have arrived in Paris in recent years, but apparently they number only in the thousands, not hundreds of thousands. London has more billionaires and a lower unemployment rate than Paris. But Paris has a lower poverty rate. Regular settlement in Paris goes all the way back until at least 2000 BC, whereas the London area appears to be first settled around 500 years after that. Both used to be part of the Roman Empire. Paris is older than London. A Gallic tribe known as the Parisi established what would later be called Paris around 250 BC, while the Romans established London in 50 AD. By the Middle Ages, Paris had become the most important commercial center in France, and London had become the most important commercial center in England. However, Paris rose more quickly. In the early 1300s, Paris was twice as big as London.
Okay, great. And now let's answer some questions. Now let's see what have you learned from this video. Now let's compare two cities. So Temirhan, now let's compare. Choose the correct answer. So yes, Aiday, London is bigger. Yes, true or false? Now London is the first. Is one of the most visited cities in the world. Is true or false? I mean, true. Okay, now let's check your answer. Aiday, that is false. Next, Paris is more expensive city to live in. Is it true or false? Any ideas? Kutman, your answer is true. Okay, now let's check. That is true. Next, London is one of the financial capitals of the world. Paris isn't. So, Temirhan, true. I mean, your answer is true. Okay, let's compare your answer. Aiday, that is false. Next, both have a bike sharing system. Agahan, so is it true or false? Any ideas? Kutman, false. Let's see. That is true. Now, Paris hosted the Olympics twice. So, any ideas? Aiday, your answer is true. Okay, let's see. You're right. So, next, London has more museums than Paris. So, any ideas? That is true. Okay, Aiday, good. London is more densely populated than Paris. Is it true or false? Aiday? So be active students. That is false. Now let's compare. Yes, you are right, Ayman. Next, Paris gets more rain than London. Ayman? False. That is true. Great. Next, London has 15 billionaires. Any ideas? So, now let's see. That is false. And the last one, Paris is younger than London. So, is it true or false? Temirhan, your answer is false. Ayman, false, and Bermet, true. Let's compare. That is false. Ayman, you are right. Okay, so go on. Next, we have such a task. Complete the sentences, then listen and check all around the world. So you have 8 sentences and you have to use comparative adjectives, and after that you have to say is it true or false. So I'll give you 1 minute to do this exercise, and after that we'll check it together. So please do this task. So, and now we'll check it together. Kutman, so write down your answers. So, Suitai, are you ready? Aiday? Are you ready? Okay, good. Now, let's compare your own answers. So, listen and check, please. Check your own answers.
Track 1.25. Unit 2. Language focus. Exercise 2. 1. Tokyo is more expensive than Rome. True. 2. New York is newer than Athens. True. 3. The Atlantic is wider than the Pacific. False. 4. Everest is higher than Mont Blanc. True. 5. The Rhine is longer than the Amazon. False. 6. Cape Town is more dangerous than Zurich. True. 7. Mexico City is older than Venice. False. 8. Paris is further than Madrid from London.
Okay, good. Your answers were correct. Great. Now, go on, Timirhan. So, yes, your answers were correct. I agree with you, Timirhan. Now, go on. Fill in the correct form of the words in brackets, comparative or superlative. So now, my house is then yours. Please type the correct answer, Elmar. My house is big or what, Kutman? Is it correct, big? You have to use comparative or superlative. Aiday? Bigger. Yes, you are right. Bigger. Next, this flower is beautiful than that one. So, more beautiful. More beautiful. Yes, Aiday. Great. Next, this is the interesting book I have ever read. Aygirim? Any ideas? More interesting. Okay, Aygirim. Well, so next, non-smokers usually live alone than smokers. So, any ideas? Aiday? Loner. Loner than we use. Next, which is the dangerous animal in the world? Timirhan, number 5. So, number 5. Any ideas, boys and girls? Which is the use comparative or superlative form of adjectives? Which is more dangerous, Aiday? The most dangerous. Next, a holiday by the sea is good than a holiday in the mountains. So, next answer, Aygirim? Better. Great, you're right, Aiday. Next, it is strange, but often a Coke is expensive than a beer. So, Aiday, more expensive. Great. Next, who is rich woman on earth? Any ideas? Now let's check the richest. Next, the weather this summer is even better than last summer. So, Bermet, your answer is was. Yes, you are right, Aidai. Good. Next, he was the clever thief of all. So, Aidai, clever. Please use comparative or superlative. No, the cleverest thief of all. So, go on. Let's do one more exercise. Now, read the article about trash in the desert. Find and correct 8 more errors with superlatives. Now, Cameron's camels. Let's read this text and you have to find some mistakes. The Arabian Desert in the Middle East is one of the most hot environments on Earth and it has the less amount of rainfall. So, and instead of most hot, we use hottest. This is one of the mistakes. And now please find more mistakes in this text and correct them. So, the less amount, is it correct or not? So, any ideas? So, we should use the least instead of the less. Next, go on. But to camel its home, the camel is one of the most strong animals in the world. So, any ideas, Birmet? Stronger. So, any ideas, boys and girls? The strongest. Yes, the strongest. Next, camels can go for many days with only a little food and water. When they do find water, they probably drink the most quick of any land animal. Is everything correct here? How do you think, Bermet? Where's the mistake? In the word what? More? So let's see. The most quickly. So next, adult camels can drink about 25 to 30 gallons in 10 minutes. Unfortunately, finding water is not the serious problem camels face. Is everything correct here? No, and where is the mistake? Please type your answers. Where is the mistake? So, please look here. Look at this sentence. So, where is the mistake? Any ideas? The most serious problem, Nur Sultan, the most serious problem. Go on. Most dangerous threat to camels come from humans. Tourists in the desert leave trash behind. Camels think the trash is food and eat it. This is very dangerous for camels because it can kill them. So we don't have enough time or what? So boys and girls, so now we don't have enough time to do this exercise till the end. And now today we talked about comparative adjectives. Yes, you have done several exercises, you watched one video. So, and now our lesson is over. See you next time. Goodbye. So, do you have any questions? Suitai? So, do you have any questions? No. Okay, and now, no. Now, let's continue to do this exercise, please. Now, we have 1 minute. Let's do this exercise. Boys and girls, now, camel